If you'll notice here, the short green grass and the snow in the high country, it's obviously springtime in Colorado. And these cows are headed to higher country. This particular ranch is what they call a cow-calf operation. They keep the cows year-round and raise calves, a calf crop every year. And they wean the calves in the fall when they're about 600 pounds, and then sell them to the next step of the line in the beef industry. But they maintain the cows year-round. And if you'll notice how they're turning the corner, these cows in this particular ranch, these cows have been doing this for over 20 years. They know where they're going. They're headed up to spring pasture, and it's about 6 miles up the road. Most of the calves that you see here are about 2 months old. They've been recently branded, and they're all paired up. They're with their mama, and while the calves have never been this way, the cows have. And it's actually, they know exactly where they're going, and in fact, if you tried to change their routine, you can have a hard time getting them to go in a different spot. I once bought some spring pasture from a neighbor of mine, and we were used to going up the road, and this one year I had to turn, and it liked to taken us an hour to get those cows to turn when they just did not. They looked up the road and said, "That's where we're used to going. What is this? We're not." A cow just loves routine. So you can't leave them unattended on the road, but if you turn them out, most of them they'd go where they needed to be. Ranching always has been, and it still is. It needs to be a family affair. It's a lot of work, and it's good for kids to learn to have responsibility. But there's a need for it too. It's a lot of work, and it's to get a really good ranch going, you need to have a family operation. That can sometimes be difficult. Colorado is a free-range state, and pretty much what that means is if you're with your cows, the cars have to yield. The cows are here before the cars, so they have the right. They can move the cows up the road as long as they're attending them. And sometimes you can have trouble, but most people really enjoy going through the herd and seeing the cows, and it can be kind of a fun thing. Some people, though, some people just get real impatient, but it's just part of the trip of the day. As I mentioned before, these cows are headed up to higher country. They'll first go to a pasture that's called their spring pasture, and they'll stay there till about June, mid-June, maybe even 1st of July. And from there they'll go on up into the mountains, up into high country, and stay there till around October, unless it begins to snow early. You can have a hard time holding cows up in the high country if it starts to snow, and of course you don't want them to be there if it gets to snowing too much. But one of the reasons you run them in high country is there's millions of acres in the Colorado Rockies that basically what the Colorado Rockies do is they produce a high-grade, good grass. And in rough terrain like that, the only thing that can harvest that is a cow. You could almost call a rancher a grass farmer, but rancher sounds a whole lot better. And so a cow's just being used as like a combine, like a harvest machine. They're going up there and they're taking a product that is compared to corn or other wheat, other products. grass is limited in its use, but a cow can take that and convert it to one of the most nutrient-rich meat. Meat is one of the most nutrient-rich foods that we have. So there's a real purpose. Not to run cows in the high country and harvest that grass would just be a huge waste of natural resources. These cows have been on hay. They're fed hay most of the winter at this particular elevation, and here in western Colorado, this particular ranch, they have to feed hay all winter. And when that new green grass comes, oh man, it must taste like sugar. Around fall, I was coming down out of the high country, and my daughter on her horse were up front, and I was in the back, and that's all we needed. We could have almost done it without. We could have just about opened the gate and let them, they knew where they were going. But we're headed down the highway, and it's just me on the back. The cows are stretched out good. It wasn't hard to get through them. They were all stretched out on the highway, nice. And these guys from New York pulled up next to me, and boy, they just thought I had the cowboy life. Just going along with my horse, and the cows were doing what they should have done, and it was, and it was a good day, and I just let them think that. I didn't tell them that these days only happen about 3 days out of the year, because the rest of the year you're dealing with sick calves. You can deal with weather. You can deal with broken down equipment, and I just let them think it. Moving cows on the highway is about as good as it gets.